Silat community. So this video is dual purpose. This is being recorded as part of the distance learning program online application classes for those of you subscribing, and they're going to have seen it a couple of weeks before everyone else. But then this video is also going to be available to the wider community as part of the post that it's connected to. So today's lesson, instead of being the real exciting wham bam ragtag kind of stuff, is actually going to be all about the benefits of KunTao Silat as a healing art. So 7.5 days ago, I was on an operating table getting my appendix removed. Within 12 hours, I was on my feet doing my Chong style Qigong, as well as practicing Tai Chi Chuan, since I also study that with my wife. And I can tell you that the Qigong practices, the stance work, the sleeping horse meditation, has provided me with an unbelievable vitality that, quite frankly, I wouldn't believe if I wasn't experiencing it now. I am, like I said, at 7.5 days removed from the surgery, give or take about 3-4 hours. And I feel fantastic. I'm still not supposed to be lifting anything over 10 pounds because despite having laparoscopic procedure, you still don't want to rip your stitches by getting too excited. But if you didn't know that I had gone through that experience, most people I run into can't believe it. So what I would like to do today is, instead of running you guys through all the exercises and things again, because you have videos on that and you know what you're supposed to be doing, I instead sort of want to deliver a testimonial as to the wisdom and applicability of Pac Steve's martial lifestyle, because I'm living proof of it right now. So KunTao Silat, from a physical exercise perspective, you know, not even moving into the combative realm, is such a holistic and incredible full body exercise system. It promotes natural movement. It develops all of the tissues and systems of the body in a balanced, natural way. And it provides for challenge relative to a person's ability, so that whether you're coming into the system as a fit, young, tough person, or whether you've discovered KunTao Silat after doing other arts and maybe having injuries that are limiting you, or even if you're brand new to martial arts, to Qigong, and you're one of the many, many people I've met post-pandemic especially, who are trying to take a more active role in their well-being and their health, we're here for you. We've got you covered. The stances in KunTao Silat, whether we're talking sleeping horse like I'm in now, or down into the more traditional horse stance, these are isometric positions. When we hold them for time, we encourage our brains and our connective tissue to talk. Our muscles become more efficient. They learn to recruit more of the fibers in this range of motion, and anywhere from 15 to 30 degrees on either side of that range of motion, in order to be stronger. The tendons and the fascia, connective tissue, become denser, okay? And we create a powerful platform to move from. So as you go through your different stances, even those of you who only work on the American stances where we aren't quite going as deep, you're still getting these wonderful health benefits. So long as you have the correct alignment of the bones, so long as you understand how to maintain the postural alignment, the power and the strength is going to flow forth naturally. From the Shaolin tradition, particularly the tiger, the dynamic tension where we pit the musculature on one side of a joint against the musculature on the other side of the joint, is a safe form of resistance practice that I've been able to do, that doesn't break the rules about not lifting anything heavy, and it builds a proportional strength and an explosive power, because now you're taking that isometric tension and you're taking it through a full range of motion. And one of the things that is important to remember is that you can do your Jurusatu with that same tension. You could do Lanka Dua, Lanka Tiga, you could do Ling Sing Toi, Tong Long Tai. You can take that dynamic tension into your other sets. Now, if we're going to go into the traditional Chinese understanding of the benefits of that dynamic tension, the connective tissue is governed by the liver, and as we stimulate the connective tissue, particularly the tendons, the ligaments, we're starting to stimulate the functioning of the liver. Well, the liver draws energy from the kidneys, and the kidneys govern the bones and the bone marrow. So if we were to have a very traditional explanation of the Qigong theory behind dynamic tension, we're stimulating the essence, the deep stored life force energy that our parents give us, and drawing it to the surface to invigorate the connective tissue. And then from there, because the liver plays a role in regulating the spleen, and the spleen regulates the health of the muscles, we're allowing the health of that connective tissue to then stimulate the muscles. And there are admonitions against being too intense with that. So for those of you that do make the dynamic tension a part of your daily constant practice, less can be more. It's important to make sure that you're eating that nutritious diet and that you're doing plenty of practices with the breathing to maintain the chi and the essence of the bones. And I know that can sound kind of esoteric, and that's a whole other set of videos that we can make. But the dynamic tension is a wonderful tool, especially if you're someone who traditionally doesn't enjoy lifting weights, doing calisthenics even. You know, maybe you're worried about your physical ability to exercise in this way. Well, you can build your muscles. This is possible, okay? And this is a very, very natural way to do it, and it's safe to do, so long as you remember not to lock out any joints, and also not to do too many repetitions. If you're just starting out, I would say 3 to 5 sets of 3 to 5 repetitions is more than enough to build that power. Okay, the other thing to remember with your dynamic tension is be aware that if you have high blood pressure, this does place a great deal of strain on the heart. So it's kind of a case by case. If you're not medicated or otherwise controlling your blood pressure issue, then dynamic tension is something that you may want to consult with a healthcare provider in person about doing. Okay? But we have the dynamic tension as a way to develop the body. From the internal practice, okay, we have that understanding of the whole body connection. And this is something I've explained in other videos, but I'll go into again here, and then you can seek out some of the older videos if you're interested in more detail. The internal martial arts are often mystified by people who are profiting off teaching them, and that's understandable, but they're not based on magic. The internal martial arts are based on exceptionally sophisticated kinesiology and an understanding of the intrinsic capability of the human body. So with the internal martial arts, rather than trying to build that kind of whipping, exploding power like we'd see in Pai Yun, in the tiger form, or in Jurusatu when you do it more of a Malabar style, instead we're trying to hit with the whole mass of the body as though the body were a single unit altogether. And to accomplish this, we learn to relax. We learn to use our breathing and our mental intention to improve the connection our nervous system has to all of our tissues. We're learning to turn off the unnecessary tension and stress that we carry in our muscles, even at the unconscious level. And instead, we create this idea of trying to open and stretch the whole body, sort of like the skin of a drum head or the strings of a guitar. In the internal martial arts, when I get into a posture, you'll often see people, and they have this sort of exaggerated engagement of the fingers. Well, this is a training methodology. This is a mechanical skill that allows you to turn on the tendons and then the fascia, the connective tissue of the whole body. And through the exercises like sleeping horse, through our centering exercise when it is performed in the American style as opposed to the Malabar style, where often we do it as a dynamic tension exercise, which again is good for you and is important for health. But when we do it with the internal sense, rather than trying to have that sense of tightness of pushing through an invisible object and having all of that stress of muscle against muscle, instead we have a feeling of stretching the whole body open, again without locking the joints, of expanding in all directions. And when we do this, we're able to engage the connective tissue. And as we go through the various exercises from Chang style, like wave walking, like lifting and dropping, and we start to add in our footwork, we're learning now to turn on that connective tissue in the whole body and turn the whole body into a spring, so that when I throw my punch, when I use my elbow, it's the weight of my whole body colliding and I happen to contact with whatever hitter I'm using. From a health perspective, stretching all that tissue open creates space for the flow of blood and lymphatic fluid. It takes pressure off the nerves, so that way a lot of the chronic pains that come from being hunched over a desk or sitting in a car during a long commute start to go away. It takes time to remodel the body. So if your body isn't where you'd like it now, that's okay, but it's time to start. No one is going to do it for you. All of the material you need to be abundantly healthy is in the level 1 curriculum, Malabar or American. In my practice, I mix both, and I expose all of my in-person and online students to both so that they can get an idea of which direction they want to go, because ultimately the whole system is open to everyone. Everyone has the right to learn all of the material. That was Pat Steve's intent, that was his desire, and I'm going to carry that forth. Even if you're doing American, you can do your horse stance up here. Okay? If you're studying American, but you're really intrigued by the monkey form or the tiger form, it can be modified and done in a way that's safe for whatever physicality level you're at now, and then used as a tool to improve upon that. Daily constant training will change your life. But KunTao Silat, past that initial physical level, has a lot more, because philosophically Pat Steve has included within the martial lifestyle important principles about diet. Okay? There is no need to have some kind of special fad diet this or fad diet that. We know what we need to do to eat healthy. We need a variety of foods that are grown from and acquired from healthy sources. You know, the less chemicals, the better. You know, your farmer's market in town, organic stuff. You want meat and produce that has been, or meat and dairy products that have been produced humanely. You know, if you don't want to eat stressed out meat, okay? You don't want bad eggs. Now, I know many of us, especially with the world as it is now in August of 2022, finances can be tight, but my philosophy is, to the absolute best of your ability, if you're going to spend money on anything, spend it on your health, okay? A slightly bigger grocery bill now means no giant medical bill later, okay? That should be the idea. It's like that old principle from Tai Chi, right? 8 ounces to move 1,000 pounds. An extra $8 on the grocery bill takes $1,000 off the hospital bill, okay? Have that in your mind. Pat Steve also is a big believer in supplementation. Ideally, we get our vitamins, our nutrients from our food, because we're getting, again, lots of vegetables. When we have our carbohydrates, I personally am a big advocate for rice. You've got to be very careful about where any and all gluten-based stuff is sourced from nowadays. I am in healthcare, I'm a doctor of acupuncture, and I can tell you a lot of people have various degrees of gluten intolerance. If you think that could be you and you're struggling with a weight issue or an autoimmune disease particularly, you need to talk to your healthcare provider about it. But your diet, the fuel you put in your body, literally becomes who you are. If you eat junk, that junk is the raw materials that's used to build your cells, that becomes you. Your daily constant training isn't going to take you to that max level of health and physicality if you don't have good building material. But even with all the healthiest stuff in the world, it's often a good idea to supplement that. So, making sure that we're getting plenty of our major vitamins, making sure that you're supplementing your important minerals. Again, consult a healthcare provider about your specific needs. There are tests that you can do that can help determine what you may or may not be missing, what you may or may not be deficient in. So these are just general guidelines. You, living the martial lifestyle, are responsible for yourself. That's part of the lesson of martial arts, is the discipline to make yourself go and do the things that aren't necessarily as fun or exciting as the latest movie on Netflix, or video games, or, you know, eating McDonald's. But you've got to learn the discipline, like, okay, I know what I need to do, I'm going to follow through on it. And if you have that little bit of patience, the reward that you experience is greater long term. Okay? So make sure you're eating healthy, make sure you're supplementing as necessary. I also take traditional Chinese herbal tea every day. I supplement my diet with things like ginseng, with pho tea, with goji berries, black sesame. There's lots of different herbs out there. Again, everyone's constitution is different, and without proper consultation with a provider who can assess you directly, I can't really tell anyone do this or do that, because that would be unethical too. But know that these things are out there for you as part of that healing potential of KunTao Silat. And then finally, Pak Steve, as many of you know, is a deeply spiritual man. He derives a great deal of comfort, of guidance, of purpose from his study of scripture. I am a Buddhist myself, so while I also appreciate scripture, as far as my personal practice, I like to meditate, I like to practice mindfulness. It all leads to the same source. My point being, find some kind of spiritual pursuit for yourself. It doesn't have to be one of the conventional religions. It doesn't have to be a specific philosophy. It could just be something as simple as spending as much time outside and appreciating how you as a human being are connected to all the other plants, animals in your environment. But that is a key part of the martial lifestyle. And if you're doing a lot of sleeping horse practice the way we're supposed to be doing, if only for our martial prowess, I think it's almost unavoidable that one way or another, as your awareness develops, a certain appreciation for aspects of being is a natural byproduct. Okay? Spending time outside, of course, is something Pak Steve advocates for, because he says over and over again, KunTao Silat is meant to be practiced outdoors. Now, the heat this summer where I live here in Houston has been dangerous levels, so I've had to do a lot of my practice inside, and if you've been doing the online courses, of course, you see that we train inside this space now for formal classes. So you have to be flexible, because that is an important part of martial arts. But when and if you can, try to do your Qigong outside. Try to do it early in the morning, around dawn, when the oxygen is thickest in the air because ozone has been released by plants. Okay? All of these traditional principles are validated by science if you spend the time to connect the dots. You want to get that oxygen. You want to get the blood moving in the morning. You want all the joints and the tissues warm. Even just 5 minutes, just doing your very gentle turning gyrus, your very gentle spine openers, okay? Your very gentle sky presses, just to start out your day. It's amazing. And then, of course, if you're doing your daily constant practice, you're finding ways to get your postures into your daily activities. You're picking up your laundry with your horse stance. Maybe you're tying your shoes on either side, diving for needles in the sea. You're going to start experiencing these benefits. So this morning, I was in a Tai Chi class with my wife teaching some massage therapists, and Swedish and other table-based massage modalities actually use our KunTao stances. They do horse stance. They call it bow and arrow. Okay, we call it low entering stance or posture 3, but they use all these postures in the biomechanics so that the therapists don't harm their bodies by hunching over and using too much brute force. And so we were explaining to these students, you know, the people who invented these postures weren't created because they looked really cool and, oh, that looks like awesome martial artsy stuff. These were designed because people recognize certain positions are the most naturally, holistically efficient ways of moving the human body, of generating and receiving force, of carrying out daily tasks. Your KunTao Silat stance work is not just for fighting people, it's for going through life. So think about how to integrate being in these positions throughout your day, and it really will make an enormous difference. All right? So, anyway, I realize this isn't the most exciting lesson in some ways, but here I am, able to move just a week past being put under. I have not had any sort of pain medication in about 5.5 days now. I only took the prescription painkillers they gave me for 24 hours, did not like them, stopped doing it. I continued taking over-the-counter Midol that has acetaminophen or like Tylenol in it for about 3 days. Went back to work on Monday, did not have anything other than some natural Chinese herbs that are for wound healing, and that's it. Qigong, KunTao Silat, healthy diet, meditation, sleep, breath work, that's what controlled my pain. I'm not exaggerating, I'm not kidding. I can't believe it myself other than here I am. So, my lesson for you this week is do KunTao Silat. Don't talk about it, don't read about it, don't just watch the videos. Really start doing it. If I wasn't living this lifestyle, I'd have been knocked for a loop by this surgery. Instead, I'm feeling great, I'm moving well, I don't have pain, I still have obviously some physical trauma that needs full healing, and I'm going to try to behave as best I can, but I can keep fit, I can keep healthy, I'm in a great mood, and it's all because I live the martial lifestyle. So, I hope everyone out there is doing really well. If you have any kinds of questions about how I'm doing or about what I'm doing, if you want to talk more about some of the other aspects, whether it's the stances, the breath work, some of the dietary principles, please don't feel shy. Contact me. I'm always happy to talk with you guys. My best to everybody.
I still believe that it's blessed.